Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're all okay. It's the 1 Point CoPilot webinar. So we're going to be running through some bits about practical AI for modern businesses, looking at some demos, and looking specifically at CoPilot. We've got a CoPilot expert for you today, called Angela. So she's going to take you through this whole presentation, and she is going to be answering your questions and running through demos specific to certain tools as well, especially in Microsoft. So I'm going to pass it straight over to Angela and let her get started, because she really is the expert. So any questions, fire them over in the text or in the Q&A function, and we'll answer them as best we can. There you go, Angela.
Thanks, Lucy. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. So as Lucy already mentioned, I'm going to be talking to you about everything Microsoft 365 Copilot today. So hopefully you're going to be excited over the demos, what it can do and how it can work within your organization as well. So this is everything that I'm going to go through with you today, where AI is going with organizations, what it is. So what is Microsoft 365 Copilot? The demos, so seeing it in action within the application. Customize your Copilot is probably the exciting part of it. So I am going to touch on that as well, on how you can make it a little bit more personal. I'll also share some customer stories, how other organizations have adopted Copilot and their success stories behind it. And then lastly, I will finish off with requesting for a readiness assessment through us and also opening it up for questions. So let's get started. Now, I just want to show you where technology is going overall. So this graphic here is basically just to show you that it took less than 2 months actually to reach 100 million users for ChatGPT alone. Yes, this webinar is around Copilot, but this is just overall technology and just generative AI. Mobile phones took 16 years to reach 100 million users. The internet took 7 years, and now ChatGPT is taking 2 months. So it's taking less and less time to adopt. And this is why we want organizations like yourselves to adopt AI more at its infancy. Copilot has been established for 18 months now. So although it's been established for over a year, it is still advancing. Just to put it into perspective, there has been 300 updates alone last year with Copilot. So it's increasing day after day. There's always new features. So it's always keeping me on my toes as well. It's a lot more faster. The quality is a lot more better. And we don't want organizations to be left behind. We don't want maybe your competitors may have adopted AI and you feel like you're lagging behind after a year or two, and then you feel like you need to catch up and it's a lot more advanced later down the line. So hopefully today you're going to be a lot more educated as to what it is and how it works, and how it would work within your organization. Now, I do want to talk about the Work Trend Index. Highly recommend you have a look at this online as well. You can have a look at the full report. Now, this is an annual report that Microsoft runs in order to understand organizations like yourselves, your take on AI. So I'm going to go through some of the insights within this report today. So what they did within for 2025 is they surveyed 31,000 people across 31 countries. And first of all, I just want to highlight that employees are interrupted every 2 minutes. I know I am. I'm actually on Do Not Disturb on Teams at the moment, because if I'm on a Teams meeting, I am pinged on Teams chat, or I've got loads of follow-ups to do on email as well. And I'm sure I'm not the only one. I'm sure like everybody's in the same kind of boat. We've been looped in on a chain of emails. Now, what Copilot is going to do is try and give back time to you in order to focus on your priorities. So get rid of those admin tasks. So hopefully it's going to make a little bit more sense as I go along. Okay. So during this survey, they found that there's going to be 3 phases to adopting AI. The first phase is adopting Copilot and helping it with your productivity gains. The second thing would be creating agents. Now, agents would be that customized piece that will make a little bit more sense as I go along. So basically delegating tasks to an agent to do on your behalf. And then the third one would be actually instructing these agents to do things in the background whilst you're doing something else. So although it's called CoPilot, and it's supposed to do something on your based on your instructions. You can instruct it and leave it alone, and it will do that on your behalf as well, basically called autonomous agents. As I said, it's going to make a lot more sense as I go along, but there's a three-phase approach. So we're starting on phase one, so you understand what CoPilot is, and hopefully if you are looking to adopt CoPilot, we will end up in phase three, where there will be agents doing tasks for you while you focus more on your higher skill set, your priority work. During the survey, they also found that 75% of people are already using AI at work, okay? And almost 80% of them bring their own AI to work, with or without the organization's approval. Now, I'm talking about any AI tool. I'm talking about ChatGPT, maybe the free version, maybe a competitor, or maybe something that's plugged into your emails or your Word documents for grammar checks. And the reason why I'm saying this is staff members are most likely already using some kind of AI tool for work. And the reason why we want to talk to you about CoPilot is things like ChatGPT would be posing risk to the business. And something like Microsoft 365 CoPilot is created for business purposes. And I'm going to highlight the difference between something like a free consumer solution like ChatGPT that's readily available, that your staff members might be using, that might be posing risk, in comparison to CoPilot. So I will highlight the difference, but most likely people are using AI already. Right, before I jump into CoPilot, I do want you to start to think about, where do you see improvements in the business? Would it be to improve the quality of people's work, maybe get rid of that human error, whether people work in HR or finance, etc.? Do you want to automate certain processes through automated flows? Or would it be to retain staff, give them a better employee experience? It could be a little bit of everything that I've mentioned, okay? And once you establish where you see improvements in the business, it's going to make a lot more sense as to, okay, well, how is CoPilot going to support us and improve these issues, as opposed to the other way around, saying, okay, let me understand what CoPilot does and let me see where it fits. Okay, let's get into CoPilot now. So Microsoft 365 CoPilot is your AI assistant that is integrated within your Microsoft applications that you use on a daily basis. So when you're checking your emails on Outlook, whether you're on a Teams meeting, whether you're analyzing data on Excel, you're drafting a report on Word, it's embedded within those applications, okay, within your Microsoft applications. Let me break it down for you as to how does it actually work, okay? So if you focus on the top left-hand side, this is just a graphic. Obviously, there is a lot more applications that CoPilot integrates with, but just to give you an idea of how it works. Let's say we open up your Microsoft Word on the top left-hand side. When you open up your Microsoft Word, you have a ribbon of features, don't you? You have your font, your bullet points, you have format changing. You also have an icon, which is your CoPilot icon. You click onto it, you ask CoPilot a question, a command. Draft me a business proposal based on Project X. Okay, this is my prompt. I'm prompting CoPilot. That prompt is then sent to the Microsoft Graph, which is on the bottom left-hand side. The Microsoft Graph is unique to each and every one of us within an organization. It's where all of your files, and your documents are stored. So anything that you have saved in SharePoint, OneDrive, your emails, your chat messages, your Teams chat messages, CoPilot can access, okay? So let's say, for example, you wanted 10 CoPilot licenses. It's not to say that those 10 users then all have access to financial data, okay? It stops at their permission boundaries. It doesn't go beyond that. So anything that they have access to, CoPilot has access to. CoPilot does not have access to anything beyond that. So it respects your permission level. Okay, so once it collects the information that it needs based on the data that you have internally, you can toggle on web browsing if you want to do for it to go over the web. Then it's sent to the large language model, which is on the right-hand side. The large language model sits on something called reasoning. The posh name is semantic index. Okay, so that goes beyond a keyword search. When you type something in on a search engine, it uses keywords and it bulks it together and it gives you a data dump on what you might want. Whereas the large language model is a lot more intelligent than a search engine, and Copilot really tries to understand what is your intention behind asking that question. So I asked it around draft me a business proposal around project X. So Copilot is going to try and understand, have I been collaborating with somebody around project X? Has there been previous projects in the past that are similar to this current project that might help me better my proposal? And Copilot will collate that information together, deposit it back into my application that I was using, and give me an informed response as well. In its own words, it will give me a summary, and then it would citate where it's got its information from, so you can sense check your work as well. Okay, so hopefully you're all with me in terms of how it works. The apps, the graph, the large language model all work together simultaneously. I did say I'm going to talk about ChatGPT, okay? So anybody that uses ChatGPT, the free version, anything that's inputted into ChatGPT is saved into public data. So we never recommend using it for business purposes. You're pretty much training the model every time you communicate with the free version of ChatGPT, whereas Microsoft 365 Copilot, you can do that. You can input client information, input things that are classified within the business, financial information you wouldn't want leaked outside of the organization. And Copilot is not trained on your data, is not trained on your prompts. It's corporately protected. It stays within your organization, it actually stays within each user's license. So your prompts are not shared with each other unless you actually copy and paste it and share it with your other colleague. So yeah, that's really the main difference. Microsoft 365 Copilot is corporately protected. Something like ChatGPT is not, is saved into public data. And Microsoft 365 Copilot is right by your side. You don't need to go over the web to communicate with it. If you need assistance with your emails or analyzing data, it's within those applications. Okay, so let's go into the exciting part, which is the demos. Okay, so I'm not going to be able to show you everything today, but I will be able to give you an idea, a flavor of what it can do within certain applications. So hopefully this is going to spark some ideas. And if you have any questions saying, can it do X and Y, then drop it into the questions and answers box, and we can answer it as we go along. Right, so I pre-recorded everything in real time just to show you how quickly Copilot can respond. Before I play my video, I'm just going to tell you what's going on. So Alex and Megan have both been discussing opening up a new store in London. Okay, so they've been talking about tasks, ownerships, budgets, and we've all been there when we've been CC'd, we've been looped in on a chain of emails on a Friday afternoon. And it's great scrolling through so many emails trying to figure out what's going on. But with Copilot, you can speed that process up. So let's say we want to get on top of what's going on within this chain of emails. There is something called Summary by Copilot, and immediately it summarizes that chain of emails for you. Now, it doesn't have to work with a chain of emails, even if it was just like a marketing email, or you just had maybe a lot of unread emails that you had to get through. Just click on Summary so you can get an overview. If you need to move on to the next one, then you can, or you can respond back a lot more quickly. Now, Megan is going to respond back. Now we have draft and we have coaching. I'll show you both of these options. So draft. Megan is going to ask Copilot, can you draft me an email to accept my tasks in the inventory? Now she's not mentioning what the tasks are. She doesn't have to. Because she's clicked on reply, Copilot understands there's another email that's linked to this. So Copilot will go back to the linked emails. So she doesn't have to be very specific with the task right now. She can change the tone of it to casual, neutral, formal, change the length of it to long, short, medium. So change the format to the way that you want it. And now we can generate it and see what it comes up with. So give it a second and we'll see Copilot's response. And there we go. We got Copilot's email. Obviously, it's also highlighted the tasks in the inventory, so Alex is fully aware what he doesn't need to do. We can regenerate it if you wanted a different response. There's a little prompt box, you can tweak it. If you can catch what I'm writing, I am tweaking it quite a lot. I've actually typed in make it into a poem. Obviously, this is just to keep it a little bit more lighthearted. I've not actually sent a poem in real life on email before, but as you can see how quickly CoPilot has provided me a poem out of it. It does say 2 of 2 at the top, so you can toggle back if you wish. Now, I want to show you coaching. Coaching is another capability within Outlook. Now, what if you wanted to write your own email? What can CoPilot do? So I'm writing my own email. I had a Teams meeting with Emma. We were discussing plans for a webinar that she wants to run. So I'm just following up. And what coaching does is it looks at how am I going to respond to a recipient? It looks at the tone, the clarity, the sentiment of your email. Have you had a hard day? Is it coming across on your emails? CoPilot will give you that feedback that you might want to use to better your emails. So in this case, it says maintain positive enthusiasm because I'm saying perhaps and maybe, and it's giving me suggestions to change it to I am available. I would love to discuss this further. Under sentiment, it says encourage engagement and interest because Emma has mentioned running a webinar, so maybe encourage some more questions, etc. Whereas under clarity, it also says be specific because I only said that I'm available on Friday. I didn't say exactly what times I'm available. So it's telling me to be a bit more specific. You can add all these suggestions. So I've clicked on apply these suggestions and it's created me an email based on those suggestions. Obviously, you can tweak it based where you want it and you can apply it within your Outlook email. You can replace it or you can attach it below so you can compare it to your original email as well. Okay, so that's coaching. As I said, there is a lot more other things that CoPilot can do within Outlook. These are just some of the features. Just bear in mind, when you do have CoPilot, let's say today you have CoPilot assigned to you, that's the day CoPilot is going to start to index you as a user. When I say index, CoPilot doesn't really understand your previous collaborations with recipients, etc. It's going to understand it from the day you have the license assigned to you, so it can become more personalized to you. So every license is going to be a bit more personalized so it can be more efficient for you. So it's going to try to understand who do you respond to on email? How quickly do you respond to certain recipients? So then after a couple of weeks, if you ask CoPilot to prioritize my emails, it's going to understand that I might respond back to a client more quickly to an internal staff, for example. So it becomes a little bit more customized. So give it a little bit of time for that customized piece. That's Outlook. We're going to move on to Word. So there's a couple of different areas that you can access CoPilot within Word. I've created a document around CoPilot. There's a couple of new staff members. I want to bring them up to date around CoPilot, how it's embedded within these applications, some use cases, agents, etc. Now, as I said, you can access CoPilot in different areas of Word. So one of the ways is you can highlight a certain area of the page. Now I'm highlighting all the applications. And if you click on the CoPilot button within the Word document, there are a couple of different options. So you can click on write a prompt, and that you could say make it shorter, make it longer, etc., add more information. Now I'm going to click on visualize as a table because, as I said, it's for some new staff members. Rather than paragraph after paragraph, make it a little bit more easier to digest and break it up a little bit within this document. So I'm actually quite happy with that, but I'm not deleting everything just to tweak it. I'm just tweaking it with this existing document. So I actually just typed in use British English language because I don't want any Z's. And there we go. It's just re-updated it as opposed to starting from scratch. So I'm happy with that. So we can keep that. Another way you can access CoPilot within your Word document is you don't have to highlight things all the time. Let's say, for example, you're at the end of a document and you've got a writer's blocker and you're not really sure what else to write. you can click onto the Copilot button without highlighting anything, and it will give you other suggestions. So you can prompt, you could say, please summarize, etc. You can attach other documents if you want to compare it or include more information from another document. Or you can click on Inspire Me. And that's what I mean. If you've got a writer's blocker, you're not really sure what else to write, and you need that inspiration to carry on writing, Copilot isn't going to make anything up. It's going to look at what you've already included within your document to provide you a little bit of a helping hand to carry on that writing. So you can tweak it, you can keep it, you can regenerate it, etc. So yeah, Inspire Me has definitely helped me at times. Now, so that's another example. Now, the main Copilot button is on the top there, and it opens up a side panel, as you can see. It gives you some suggested prompts just to get you going, and at the bottom it's got a little microphone so you can speak to Copilot if you want to, so it could be speech to text. We've got a little like globe sort of icon, so you can click onto that and you can toggle on web browsing if you wish. So if you want to compare the document to something over the web, then you can, or you could just keep that toggled off. And then another couple of icons to help you with your prompts. So there's loads of like prompts, suggested prompts that you can use. Now, I'm just going to prompt Copilot. I'm asking Copilot, can you create me a frequently asked questions page? Maybe these staff members are going to look at this document maybe once or twice, and they might forget after a week or two, and rather than refer back and read the entire document again, they could just refer to the Q&A page. So I'm asking, spelling mistake there, but so Copilot doesn't mind, so don't worry about that. I have mentioned don't include citations, and I'll come back to that. And there we go. We got our frequently asked questions. I'm happy with that. It's broken down some case studies as well, which is great. Once you are happy, you can copy this and paste it directly into your document. Now, there we go, we've pasted it. So we got our FAQs page. Now, the reason why I said do not include citations in my prompt is because if I did not mention that, within those bullet points, it's going to start to give me citations of 1, 2, 3, 4, and those citations will direct me to the document of where it's got its information from. If you didn't want those citations, just mention that so we can exclude that. Okay, so that's within Word. I think I'm going to try and take myself off mute if I can. Okay, so that was me speaking to Copilot, speech to text. So if you prefer to articulate your words through speech, then that is an option in many of the applications. And there we go. Based on what I have instructed Copilot through my voice, Copilot has created me an email and summarized the document, and also mentioned everything that I mentioned when I was speaking to Copilot. So if we scroll at the bottom, it would say that we have got a weekly sync so they can drop their questions there as well. So that's Word. You can attach up to 10 different documents. So if you wanted to compare it to previous documents, you can attach up to 10 different Word documents, transcripts, PDFs, etc. Right, let's go to PowerPoint. So I would say PowerPoint is useful for different types of users. Somebody that, is this the PowerPoint that I want? Yeah, so somebody that doesn't use PowerPoint very often because they feel like they're not creative enough, or it's time consuming, etc. Or even somebody that does use PowerPoint a lot. This is why I feel like it is suitable for different users, and I'll show you why. So we click onto the Copilot button, and I'm actually going to use a suggested prompt this time. I'm going to use create a presentation. And then I'm going to paste the file path of a Word document, which was a marketing plan, which was about 2,000 to 3,000 words long. Okay, so we're transforming a Word document into a PowerPoint slide just by one prompt. You don't have to always paste the file path, by the way. You could just do / and it would show you your recently saved Word documents and PDFs. Okay, so in a second, you're going to start to see Copilot try to structure how it's going to create the PowerPoint slides. There is a new feature called Narrative Builder. So if you were not happy with the flow of these PowerPoint slides before it's generated, you can move them around, you can delete them, you can add more information before the deck is created, okay? And it's even going to add speaker notes against each slide so you can confidently deliver them against if you're delivering it on Teams, for example. So give it a second and it's going to create me the slide deck. You can even use your company branded templates if you have got them. You will have to open up your company branded templates first and then ask Copilot to generate you slides rather than use a general one and then ask Copilot change it into my company branded templates. Okay, so there we go. So we got our slide deck. I'm happy with that. All of the images are AI generated or used from stock images, so you can use them for business purposes, no copyright issues. If you do have your own images that you use for business purposes, they would have to be saved in SharePoint library as asset library. There is guidance on there as well, so Copilot can start to pick images from there. Otherwise, you can use Designer. So I changed the feel of it, just to make it a bit more engaging. And I reopened Copilot and I clicked on Organize this presentation. What that means is it's going to try and figure out and group together certain slides that are quite similar. So it's going to add dividers, make it a little bit more professional when we're changing topic, etc. And even though it's going to add dividers, on the right-hand side, it will tell you where it's made its edits and what it's named it as. So if you are not happy with it, then you can chop and change as you wish. Okay. So this demo is going to carry on. We're going to scroll all the way down and we're going to ask Copilot to create us one more slide just to say thank you to the audience, thank you to the V team for their support, etc. And you can even see speaker notes at the bottom of this conclusion slide. If I expanded on it, it would actually show you where it's pinched the information from the Word document and how it's changed it into speaker notes. It's not just going to be a copy and paste job. Copilot actually changes it into something that's a little bit more presenter friendly. Right, so once this last slide is generated, if you can see on the bottom left-hand side, we've got 24 at the moment, we will be getting 25 slides. In 25 slides, and this demo video is, I believe, 4 minutes. Yeah, 4 minutes long. So in 4 minutes, we're getting 25 slides. That's professional looking. That's all relevant information from one Word document, and it's ready to go. It's got speaker notes, and it's, yeah, usually it used to take me hours, if not days, to create one slide deck, whereas now I use Copilot for PowerPoint as a first draft, and then I go back and just make my little tweaks, but it takes me far less time. So this is definitely a time saver. So moving on, we're going to go to Teams now. So hopefully everybody uses Teams. Copilot works on transcription. So as long as transcription has been turned on, Copilot will be turned on as well. You can have recording on, but it's not compulsory. Just bear that in mind. I have recording and transcription on during this demo. So this recording, you can see some colors at the bottom and it will tell you who spoke when. If you wanted to jump into different chapters of, whatever the conversation was about, you can jump into that as well. Now I'm catching up. So I've opened up Copilot and it gives you suggested prompts. Every application gives you some starter prompts to get you started, but I want to catch up. I don't want to catch up with a colleague. I don't want to watch an hour-long recording. I'm asking Copilot what decisions were made during this meeting. So in a second, it's going to come back and it's going to say that they decided to delay their launch date for this project, and all those citations will tell you who said what at what time, so you can jump into the transcription or the recording if you were recording it as well. I'm going to dig a little bit deeper. I'm going to ask Copilot, did they reach a group consensus? Did they all agree to delay this launch date? Because it's quite an important decision. Just bear in mind, I'm showing you this demo when a meeting has ended. Copilot works live on a meeting as well. So if you are in a meeting, you don't have to wait until the meeting ends to communicate with Copilot. You can communicate with Copilot live, and I'll dig a little bit into that afterwards. So Copilot has come back to say they decided to delay their launch date by 2 weeks. Okay, great. Now, okay, prompting is very, very important. So be very specific with what you're instructing Copilot. So I said, give me the pros and cons for delaying this launch date and put it into a table. If I did not mention putting it into a table, it might provide it to me in a couple of bullet points in a chunky paragraph. So be very specific. And there we go. We got our table there. Again, I like 9 times out of 10 we have follow-ups. So I want to know what those follow-ups are. I want to know, list me those action items and put it into a table again. So if you are on a Teams meeting, maybe 10 people are on call, somebody turns on transcription, you can distribute those action items to the rest of the team saying this is what we need to follow up on. And as you can see, I've got a table there on the right hand side. And who needs to do what. So it's task management. There's no excuse to forget after a Teams meeting now with Copilot and Teams. So yeah, it does work when a meeting has ended and also live during a meeting. So let's say, for example, you jumped into a group meeting, maybe 10-15 minutes late, and transcription was already turned on. You can ask Copilot. Nobody will be able to see your Copilot, by the way, during a live Teams meeting. And you could say, catch me up since I've just joined. Has my name been mentioned? Has there been any information that's been shared, etc.? So you can catch up. Maybe there's a lot of people that are talking and you didn't catch what somebody said. You can say, what did John say? And then it will say, John said this, as opposed to probing a colleague, etc. So yeah, stay fully engaged with whoever you're speaking to, but also you have your AI colleague live on a Teams meeting as well. Right, Loop. So Loop is something that you should have within your, depending what license you have. Loop is all around project planning. So brainstorming with a group of people. There's lots of like pre-built templates, so you don't have to start from scratch. And you can collaborate with your colleagues as well. So you can share your pages with them so they can work on the same thing as you. So and Copilot integrates within it. So I've got a suite too. So I've created a demo around a charity cake sale, and I'm asking Copilot, can you create me a Teams channel announcement to let everybody know in the organization that we are running another charity cake sale? Keep it short, keep it sweet. It's going to be on a certain date, and there we go. It's added some nice emojis on there as well. If you're collaborating with other people on this page and they had Copilot, you will be able to see each other's prompts because you're editing a shared page using Copilot. Otherwise, your prompts do stay with you, but if you're collaborating using Copilot, it is shared. I'm just using it for myself, so I just said add some funny jokes, again, just to keep it lighthearted. And there we go. It's still kept it quite short. Now, I don't want to repeat from last year. Last year, maybe 6 or 7 people just created the same chocolate cake. It didn't sell out, okay? It would be a problem for me. As I said, I've got a sweet tooth. Now, I'm asking Copilot, can you create me a table? Can you create me a table so people can start to populate what they're going to bring in? And my prompt seems okay, but I just want to show you that the demos that I showed you previously kind of gave me a response that I wanted you to see, but I just want to show you Copilot doesn't always get it right the first time, and I don't want you to get frustrated with Copilot. It's just a matter of redirecting Copilot, bettering your prompts, and I just want to give you an example of what I mean by that. So we're going to scroll down, and as you can see, we have got a table, but it's populated people's names on there. That's not what I wanted. I'm not deleting anything, okay? I'm just going to go back to Copilot and I'm going to say, I didn't want this table pre-populated, and also can you add some clear instructions on how to populate this table as well? Yes, it seems quite self-explanatory, but that's the instructions that I want. So everybody is fully aware how to complete the table. And there we go. Copilot has cleared the table for me and has added instructions. There's something called a loop component, by the way, which is a loop feature. And you can copy an area of the page and you can paste it into your emails, your Teams chats, a Word document, and people can populate their answers in those locations. So you don't have to share your page with everybody, and people can populate it, and in real time it will update your loop page, so it's all synchronized and you don't have to keep updating the system. So that's an educational piece on Loop, and also Copilot integrates within it. I'm going to move on to Excel. So Excel, although Copilot has been established for 18 months, Copilot for Excel has been generally available for about 5-6 months. So there's been a lot of work that needed doing. There's a lot of obviously data analysis within Excel that Copilot needed to work on. So it does work for basic users all the way to advanced users that use Python coding, etc. You don't even need to be an Excel expert in order to start to use Excel now. So I'm going to play my video. Just bear in mind, this is basic to moderate, but it does work for advanced users as well, based on your instructions that you ask it.
Hi, Angela. I don't think the sound is pulling through for
Okay,
the
thank you for
screen.
letting me know.
Yes,
You've
you
not
might want to just do an overview there.
No problem. You've not missed anything anyway. So what I've just mentioned is your spreadsheet needs to be put into a table first in order for Copilot to really digest it properly. And the first prompt that I clicked on is generate a formula, which is a suggested prompt. So Copilot is going to look at what you already have existing and give you some suggestions on what else to include. So it gave me revenue growth between November and December, and you can imminently just apply it within your worksheet if you were happy with it. So this has given me a little bit more inspiration as to what else to include. So I want to add another column with revenue growth again around November and December, but I also want it in pounds because Copilot has only given it to me in percentages. So in a second, we will see. There we go. So it's given me a table in pounds, and insert the column, and there we go. So we can see the differences. Some of them are in minuses, etc. So it's a little bit more of a clear view. Now I want to go a little bit further, and for those of you that don't know what conditional formatting is just highlighting certain cells so it pops off the page a little bit more quickly so we can see certain trends. Now you don't actually have to say apply conditional formatting. You could just say highlight cells of profit over or less, etc. So you don't specifically have to say conditional format. And I said, can you highlight the cells of profit that is less than £1,000? I did say highlight it in red, and Copilot has picked up on that, and it gives you the formulas. So if you do want to learn along the job, you can, or you can just click and apply, and there we go. It's highlighted the cells that isn't doing particularly well, or the bakery goods that aren't doing very well. Now I'm going to ask Copilot again, can you do the same thing, but highlight the cells that are in green for profit that is higher than £3,500. Again, it gives me the formula, but as I said, I'm not an Excel whiz, so I'm just going to apply it, and there we go. It's highlighted those that are in green. So these are the bakery goods that are doing particularly well. Now, I want to go a little bit further. I'm going to ask Copilot, can you provide me some icons for the profit percentage, which is column I, and highlight, what's doing well, what's over 40%, what's under 40%, etc. and see what. There we go. So Copilot has provided me icons. As long as I am happy with it, I can apply it. And then it puts icons against my profit percentages. So those that are at red arrows down are not doing particularly well, etc. Now, I'm going to go back to my revenue growth. And I don't want to add more conditional formatting on column K, just because it might confuse it might confuse Copilot because there's already colors going on. But I do want to see what's going on with revenue growth a little bit further. So I'm going to ask Copilot, can you create me a column so you can highlight red, amber, green, or say red, amber, green for those that for revenue growth that's under 1,000, that's under £0, over £1,000, etc. Because as you can see, there are some in the minuses. So I do want Copilot to start to highlight those. So we can insert the column. we can see red, amber, green. We can see red is against the minuses, but again, it's not really popping off the page, especially if I wanted to send this to a colleague. Let's make it a little bit more clear. So I'm going to ask CoPilot just to fill those cells in with some colors. So because you can delete the history, the prompt history, and if you did delete it, you'll have to be specific, saying fill the colors in based on red, amber, green, but I didn't have to because it can see my previous prompt history. So I just said fill in those colors, and there we go. Copilot's filled those colors in. Now, and as you can see, it's highlighting it a little bit more easily on what's not doing very well between both months and what is doing incredibly well. Now, the last thing that I'm going to do is ask CoPilot to provide me some data insights. And what that means is CoPilot is going to provide me some visual representations. So if you wanted to publish this onto like a PowerPoint slide, it's going to be a little bit more easier for other people to understand. So it's highlighting the revenue growth insights that we've just been talking about. Now, you can include that into another sheet if you want to. If we scroll down, it will just give you a little bit of a blurb of what's going on, but I'm not going to do that. I'm actually going to click on Add All Insights to Grid. And what that does is it creates another sheet for me, and it will create all other suggested visual representations. So if you wanted a pie chart, a scatter graph, etc., so it will just look at what's going on within your worksheet. So you can pick and choose what you want, and it even adds pivot tables so you can see what bakery goods are doing very well and what aren't, etc. You can even tweak your pivot tables based on different cells, so it doesn't have to be exactly what CoPilot has created. You can edit them afterwards. That's Excel. As I said, CoPilot within Excel can do a lot more than this. There is a new agent. I'm going to go into agents very shortly, that has something called Analyst. So Analyst will basically have a look at your raw data and create basically a report for you. It can compare different worksheets together. This has only been released very, very recently. So yes, I can drop some information on that afterwards as well. Let's go to the next thing. Everything that you can see on screen can integrate within CoPilot at no additional cost. So CoPilot does integrate with non-Microsoft applications as well. So just bear that in mind. If you do have something that you use quite regularly that's non-Microsoft, it's worth, if you can't see it on our screen now, then you can just have a look at their website and see, usually there's a forum that says we integrate with CoPilot now, or just reach out to us and we can figure out if it's in the pipeline. Right, I've probably name dropped agents throughout this whole webinar so far, and you're probably thinking, why is she talking about agents? Agents is the way to customize your CoPilot. So for example, you can create something that gets rid of CoPilot looking at anything else apart from what you want to look at. So for example, a HR department might be looking at policy documents, maybe a private HR SharePoint site. You can create an agent, name it whatever you want. When I say agent, it's basically a CoPilot. Name it whatever you want, HR advisor, and then plug in the policy documents that are probably 100 pages long, the SharePoint site. So when you're communicating with that agent, it's only going to look at the resources you've plugged in and nothing else. So if you asked it a question about Project X, it's not going into your emails back in 2019 just because you mentioned that keyword. Okay, so it gets rid of the noise, and you can share your agents. One person can create it, and you can share it with your colleagues as well, so they don't have to recreate it. And you can publish it onto your teams that looks something like this. My one was I've created many different agents, but again, just to keep it lighthearted, I created one around something called Friday Feeling for my team. You can pin it against your teams as well, so you can just have a little conversation with it, have some starter prompts if you're sharing it with your colleagues so they know how to start to use it. So yeah, this one's more of a joke agent. So every Friday my team can ask this agent for some jokes. But yeah, I'm going to skip through past this, but just to give you an example, agents can make it a little bit more personalized for you. So I just said, tell me a joke about my manager, and it's going to tell me a quick joke about my manager. Now, I did mention anything that you access, anything that you can access, CoPilot can access. Okay, so it's really, really key that your permissions are set properly. People don't have access to things that they shouldn't have access to. We don't want to open up a can of worms, and we don't want to roll out CoPilot to you and realize that people are saying, you know, what's my manager's salary? And they already had access to it and they just didn't know they did until they had CoPilot. But that's where we can come in, and that's where we can have a look at your environment and have a look at your where your data, how your data is managed at the moment, and how else we can refine it and restrict it for CoPilot to be the most safe before users start to communicate with it. So yeah, we don't want accidental leakage, etc. So oversharing is definitely something that we want to fix before CoPilot is implemented to you. Some customer stories. So conscious of time, so yes, I think I'm doing okay. So customer stories, so I'm just going to highlight some of the customer stories. You may have seen Juice in like shopping malls, in airports, you know, when your phone battery is kind of running out and then you kind of need to charge it in some kind of mobile station. That's basically what Juice is. And they adopted CoPilot quite early on, and they're very global, so they work in Europe, in America, in China, etc. And they do a lot of Teams meetings, and there is a lot of linguistic barriers. But with CoPilot, because CoPilot works with multiple different languages, I think it's at least 40 different languages, CoPilot can now translate it into, maybe translate a transcription into a different language, change an email into English, and even live on a Teams meeting, they can, if somebody was speaking in Russian, for example, you can change it into in real time into English when somebody's speaking in another language. So this is how AI has definitely helped them as a business. The next one I want to talk to you about is this business who is more around medical writing company for pharmaceutical companies, mobile device companies, etc. And how they utilized CoPilot is they used to post blogs, and that used to take at least 3 weeks to draft, finalize, and post one blog. Whereas now with CoPilot, they can post up to 2 blogs a week, which is giving them more time to think about different types of content, think more creatively and strategically. And even with these medical writers, it used to take them sometimes 20 to 30 minutes up to hours to create a report. Now, CoPilot is helping them draft reports so they can focus more on these complex tables that actually really requires expert knowledge from these in-depth experienced medical writers. So it's giving time back to them. So hopefully this is putting it more in real life perspective. Another customer that we've worked with actually is around, so this was actually a recruitment firm, but I know a lot of organizations probably recruit internally as well. And so I feel like this is probably the most relevant one that might reach out to everybody. And they rolled out CoPilot. They were only a small organization, I think only 6 or 7 of them. And they rolled out CoPilot in December. By April, they had £80,000 worth of savings since implementing CoPilot based on legal fees of creating contracts. So they only actually needed 1 billable hour from their third-party legal firm. And also their day-to-day was sieving through CVs. They created an agent that plugs in certain CVs that are open to work. So when they had a new job opening, they asked the agent to pull out the top 3 candidates that are most suitable for this job description, and then based on the instructions, like out of 15, score it out of skilling, location, experience, etc. And it also helped them a lot with sieving through bids and tenders and creating business proposals. So that's one customer story. So hopefully this is making it a little bit more real life as well, based on some of our customers. I also want to mention there's a promotion running. So we are in June, so it is going to be ending at the end of June. So if you purchase at least 10 CoPilot licenses in one go, then you will be eligible for 15% off. It does say 10 to 300 licenses here, but Microsoft has increased it. So if you have an organization more than 300, it is eligible for, I think, up to 2,400 users. So yes, you'll be eligible for 15% off. So grab it while you can. I did mention security a lot during this webinar in terms of making sure your Copilot ready, your data is governed, it's cleaned up, and you can reach out to us for a Copilot ready assessment. And what we will do is we will take a look at your licensing, because Copilot is an add-on license, first of all. So are you eligible for Copilot? How your security is currently, and if it needs a little bit more data governance before Copilot actually is implemented, and also how are you utilizing your license at the moment. So how are you utilizing as an organization, are you utilizing Word, PowerPoint, Excel a lot or enough in order to get the most value out of Copilot? So please reach out to us and we will assess you if you are Copilot ready and build a roadmap for you as well. And lastly, there is a QR code. So please scan this and you can actually request for a readiness assessment, speak to an account manager, or just want to talk around Copilot today. I'll keep this on.
That is perfect. Thank you, Angela. Let me just pull myself back on the screen. I'm not sure if it's going to let me. No. Oh, there I am. Thank you so much for that, Angela. That was perfect. All them demos, I'm now thinking, what should I be doing with my Copilot that I'm not already doing? Honestly, I could save so much time doing presentations and stuff. But yes, if you scan this QR code, it'll go to a form. All you've got to do is fill that form in. You will then get contacted if you're a customer by your account manager. If you're not, just a member of our team. We can sign you up for the readiness assessment. We can just send you a bit more information about Copilot if you've got any worries about the security side of it. Obviously, we are cybersecurity experts at the one point, so we are all over that. We can send you as much information as you need about it. And it can just be a really informal chat with one of our teams, see whether you're ready for AI and see whether you're ready for Copilot. If there is any questions, let me just check if we've had anything. We've got a couple. One's been answered, but we've got one from Emma. Is there an option for not-for-profit licenses, or is it just standard price? Angela, that might be for you.
Yes, so it's available for non-for-profit, for education, and just normal commercial licenses.
Perfect. So that's your question, Emma. If anyone has got any more questions, pop them in the chat now. I think we are all good. I think Nathan has been answering them as they've been coming in. But yes, overall, just a big thank you for joining. I hope you've learnt something about Copilot and see how it could really benefit your kind of operations and what you do day to day in your businesses. But yeah, if you do want to get in touch about anything else that the One Point do, all the contact details are next to me and next to Angela. You can check out more about our services at www.theonepoint.co.uk. But other than that, just a massive thank you, and I'll let us go. Brilliant. Thank you.